Well, hey, guys. Thank you for joining me on the Sisters Trust. This was not planned for me to get on here, but I was sitting here. You guys know I've been getting well and I do feel better. Today, I'm kind of under the weather a little bit, but you know what? I was just sitting here thinking about Satan is always busy, right? He is always trying to tempt us and test us and whip us up. But a lot of times we have to keep going back to the faith that God has given us. And I'm sure, we can all have the same thoughts and everything. I say, you know what, I'm going to jump over here and talk about it, right? So I'm going to go to Matthew. I'm going to read to you from Matthew chapter 4. And it's about being tempted, but we got to keep believing that God has our back. It made me think about one of my grandsons. He said, I got God's back, and I know He got my back. And we have to have that mentality because Satan would try to wear you down. It's so crazy because sometimes you think about he's not touchable. It's all in our minds. And, he can really try to do a number on us, whether if it's something from your past or some type of temptation or some type of thoughts he wants you to get into. We just have to be strong. And I know a lot of times we get tired of fighting. You're tired of fighting. You're tired of going through the same motions, but we can't give up because we already been promised the victory. Are you guys holding on to your victory? I know it's hard at times. It's very hard, but we can do it and we can do it together. So Matthew chapter 4, verses 1 through 11. And it's talking about Jesus tested in the wilderness. Then Jesus was led by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tested by the devil. Okay, he was led by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tested. After fasting 40 days and 40 nights, he was hungry. The tempter came and said, if you are the Son of God, tell these stones to become bread. He already on his weakness. He know he hasn't had anything to eat. He's hungry. He's tired, right? Some of us is tired when we fast for half a day. It's like your mind going. So could you imagine fasting 40 days and 40 nights? Come on. It says, Jesus said, it is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but on every word that comes from the mouth of God. Then the devil took him to a holy city and had him to stand on the highest point, highest point to be tempted of the temple. Excuse me. Had him to stand on the highest point of the temple. If you are the Son of God, he said, throw yourself down, for it is written, he will command his angels concerning you, and they will lift you up in their hands, so that you will not strike your foot against the stone. Come on. Ain't that's like Satan? He so busy about the business he want to get into. He know that God is not going to let Jesus hurt. So he want to use that to tempt God also. Not only is he trying to tempt Jesus at this point, he want to tempt to see what God actually going to do, right? Stick to his word. And then Jesus said to him, it is also written, do not put the Lord your God to the test. It's easy sometimes to put God to the test and think about promises, but it don't mean that it's going to really work out for you. So we need to really heed that scripture. And that's actually in verse 7 in Matthew 4. It said, it is also written, do not put the Lord your God to the test. It said, again, the devil took him to a very high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and their splendor. All this I will give to you, he said, if you will bow down and worship me. Ain't that something? The whole point, he wants Jesus to worship him. And that's how trouble come. They want you to follow them, worship them, go by what they say, and just forget about everything about God, right? It's all about them. And then Jesus said, "Away from me, Satan. For it is written, worship the Lord your God and serve him only." We have to remember to serve God only. When that push come to shove, if you need to take a prayer walk, a prayer, just go pray somewhere. Sometimes we just need to get away from the situation and remember and hold on to these scriptures. It says, "Then the devil left him and the angels came and attended him." God still sent him help. He still wasn't alone. He knew that he had God back and God has his back, as my grandson would say. Sometimes we could feel so weak that even when we're sick, like y'all know I've been sick, and Satan be trying to get in there with all kind of crazy stuff, to be even like, come on now, that ain't even my character. And then, it's just things that just nag down to your bone, your soul, and the marrow, that just bugs you. So I just had to get on here because he was getting on my nerves, and I'm sure he probably getting on a few other your nerves too. So you know what? So that we're on the same page, just to say that he does that. I think a lot of times when you're getting close to your goal, or you're getting close to your vision, or you're getting close to your purpose, maybe that's the word, closer to your purpose, he's there to try to tear us down. Because really, if you just on the path of doing the stuff that he wants you, Satan ain't thinking about you. He think about you a little bit because he don't want you to forget who he is. But really, just stay on the path. My goal is for you is to stay on the path. And sometimes we need that bread. We need that solitude. We need that extra prayer. We might not be fasting 40 days and 40 nights. And maybe that's not our area of what's bugging us, or why we're hungry spiritually. But you know what? Satan has a plan for all of us. So the bottom line is we need to have our own plan. We know he's a professional. We know he's going to always be there, but let's stay one step ahead. Let's not let his temptations, which means he's going to always tempt us, but let's not lose the battle through a temptation or thought that's in our mind. Let's make the right choices and remember to love God. So thank you again for joining me on the Sisters Trust. I was hoping, to encourage you as I encourage myself, because when you down, you feel the weakest, but we could be strong together. Thank you again. And I hope the rest of your day and your night or whatever you in is awesome and fabulous.